Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Horror Hour TV.
We all go a little mad. Get you.
You Here's Johnny. It's all for you.
Hello and welcome back to the Horror Hour, the show that we discuss, debate and disagree on all things horror. We're your hosts, George, Ben.
Hello.
And Yutaka.
Hello.
And today is a very special day, guys, okay? Because we're joined by our very first guests on the podcast, and not just any guests, not just friends. Oh no, we're joined by the amazing Alex Vincent and Christine Elise Mccarthy from the Child's Play franchise. So a huge welcome to you both, and thanks so much for joining. How are you today?
We're doing great. Yeah, we're doing real good.
Brilliant, brilliant. On the set, of course, of the new Chucky series. How's that going? Especially with, you know, the recent COVID protocols. How's filming been? Has it been a little bit of an adjustment from usual?
Oh yeah, I mean, not only filming, but you know, all the steps we have to do to even get on set. We both had to quarantine for 2 weeks, and then they put us in like a 3-week hold. And so yeah, we've been here about 45 days, and I've worked maybe 5 days of them.
And we get tested, COVID tested 3 times a week.
3 times a week at the studio that's 40 minutes away.
So it's a
Wow.
It's a long progression, definitely for that.
Yeah.
Oh well, the times we live in, hey, the times we live in.
And Ontario really kind of opened slower than most other parts in the world. So
they closed back down. They opened too early and then closed completely back down again. So when we got here, things were like after our 14-day quarantine, we got out right the same week that they opened even patio dining. So for months there was nothing to even go to. If you could leave your room, there's nowhere to go, you know?
Yeah. And now they just opened up the next phase. So indoor dining just started on Friday. So
yeah.
So it's slowly getting there, slowly but surely.
How is it out in the UK?
It's I mean, we're opening for tomorrow is Freedom Day, as it's been known. Not that it's very freedom, because obviously now the government has said, you know, it's going to be personal choice for masks and things like that. But especially in London, the TfL, who runs all of the travel and transport for London, they've said we're still making it mandatory for you to wear a mask on public transport. I still would wear a mask on public transport anyway, in pretty much a lot of places. So life's not really going to change for me. I work from home, so I don't wear, that's the only time I don't wear a mask. But if I was going to the grocery store or traveling anywhere, I would still wear it, because I think realize now you're just more conscious about everybody else and like, actually, where have these people been? But
so. Yeah, and you in Missouri is a red state, is it not?
It is. And it's funny because I work in healthcare. So we definitely, I clearly am aware of my beard. So I have a special mask that I make sure I'm wearing so I can be respective, also just because I'm high risk. So I am very just when I see that we've never really shut down here in Missouri. And I know right now in Springfield, it's getting really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, they opened up, in LA, they opened up, since I've been here, LA opened 100%, like 100% capacity, no masks. And they're already going back to masks because it was premature, so.
Yeah.
I live in Florida, so I'm in the same boat as you.
Yep.
I was going to say, because Disney, I'm a huge Disney World fan, and they've now stopped. You don't have to wear masks at Disney World now, which I think is crazy for the amount of crowds that go.
I mean, I think in the States, they're adopting the mentality that it's been a few months now that vaccines are open for all ages. So if you don't have one, it's your choice to not have one at this point. It's not that you wanted one and couldn't get one.
Yeah.
So if you choose to not get one, you're kind of on your own. I mean, you those are dice you're willing to roll. So,
Definitely.
You know. I mean, I'm gonna be barrier dead center for a couple 9 Inch Nails concerts by September, surrounded by people, and you know,
you want to hope that everyone's, you know.
Yeah, and I, you know, if you've ever been in a mosh pit, so to speak, I don't know that a mask is really conducive for that. Difficult to breathe enough already, you know.
No, definitely.
I couldn't imagine going to a Warped Tour and having to wear a mask, but
no.
Well, with Chucky now venturing into series format, what opportunities do you think that allows for when it comes to story and character progression?
Yeah. So Don, when making Cult of Chucky, and because we really are all a family, and I'm very privy to his thoughts and plans and ideas and stuff. When we were making Cult of Chucky, he already had it in his mind that he wanted to do a TV series next, and he did deliberately end that film with a lot of things set up. The multiple doll thing alone, which I think is really the natural progression of this story, especially since Andy and Kyle, we kill Chucky's like it's nothing. It's easy. And now there are a lot of characters built into this show. So the multiple doll giving Chucky a little more power fits, because he's entering a larger world with a lot of characters and a lot of other things. Like when we went into Curse of Chucky, it introduced us to a whole new side of the story, and that was kind of a contained story. And this does something similar where we're in new people's world right now, and yeah, I think having this much, first of all, it's been announced on the thing, it's 8 episodes, right? So that's not new news anymore. They just announced that the other day. And I actually think 8 episodes is the perfect amount. You don't have filler, boring episodes in the middle. My favorite show of all time was Oz on HBO. And
Good show.
8 episodes. And even though I was such a fan, and I wish there was 20 for every season because I love the show, 8 was really the right number. I think it's a great number of episodes to tell a story. But yeah, with that being said, there's a lot of new going on, and there's old that ties in.
Yeah, and as far as opportunity for character development or introducing new characters or whatever, Child's Play, the franchise of 7 films is what, between 10 and 12 hours of storytelling over 30 plus years, and now you're going to get 8 hours of storytelling in 8 weeks. So it's a big power punch of content that would normally, take another 30 years to get out.
Definitely.
Doing a movie before, imagine 30 more years to get 8 hours told, and now we're doing it in 8 weeks. So,
Yeah.
And there's new characters and old characters and everybody, and what's true for all of the franchise installments is that any story that's been already set up is still live. Like let's just pretend, that Tiffany doll doesn't exist, or that Jennifer Tilly's not possessed or whatever. Let's pretend it's all real, right down to the same people playing, Glenn and Glenda, like everything is still a live story.
She's not saying Glenn and Glenda are in the show. She's not confirming that. Just
No.
Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But,
right.
but yeah,
the stories are still live.
absolutely. And even if there's parts of over the 7 films that aren't brought up in this season 1, number 2, if we get a second season, it might be brought up in the future, but it's not disregarded like it didn't happen. Nothing that happened is disregarded like it didn't happen. So, which
I think is important, and also super complicated. That takes a lot of creativity to keep, because the franchise did a lot of rolling with the times as far as the tone of the films and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So to keep all those stories still alive is a complicated matter, and Don is genius. And I think it only works because Don has written all of it until now. I think the writing duties have been shared on this, but Don's still the showrunner, so it's still Don's baby in every way.
Which I think's amazing. You don't get to really see that in a lot of just franchises nowadays. So to see that he's been with it from beginning to end, I don't count the one 2019 or whatever that was, but I love that he's had a part, and I felt he's kept it very consistent, and he knows where he's going, and so I'm really excited to see how this series plays out.
You should be, because it's going to be fucking unbelievably great.
Yes. Oh, I'm so excited.
Most of the first 2 episodes, and it's better than I even hoped. It's just unbelievable.
It really is. And look, I know as well as anybody in this world, because I, as you guys probably know, and Christine, are very accessible to fans. I do conventions all over the place, and I have for like 20 years. I've met I mean, I'd argue that I've probably met more Chucky fans than anyone else in this thing because I really go out there with these conventions a lot, all over the place. And I understand very well that there's, first of all, everything's divisive in 2021. We all know that, right? You know,
Yes.
this whole change my mind movement is just fucking people's heads up. But anyway, as far as Chucky fans go, because it's something that people grew up with, they have preconceived ideas in their head of what it should be all the time. And then when something's released that is totally askew from what they were expecting, people get a little like, you know, shut down on it. And I only mention that because this series, yes, there will still be people that have their opinions and don't like the way certain things are done, but the margin is going to be very slim compared to all of the Chucky fans that are getting just about everything they could ever want out of a longer format version of this story.
They're getting so much more. They can't even imagine how great it's going to be. The actors who are playing the roles are going to be astonishing to people, and the various stories that get told that fill in blanks, etc. I'm telling you, I feel 1,000% confidence. And I know, like Alex is saying, everybody has their favorite Chucky film. Everyone has their favorite version of the Chucky doll. The Chucky doll issue has been addressed. I think his look has been.
What do you guys
revealed.
think? Do you like his look?
I mean, I don't mind it at all. I grew up with the franchise, and so I've enjoyed the progression. I love the changes. I think it's great because it doesn't become stale. So I'm really super excited. And if there are, I will say, in this also culture, it's very meme-worthy moments, I don't mind, because any publicity is good publicity. And if it gets people to watch it and makes it more successful, I'm all for it. So
that's a great point, because haters are very motivated. Haters
Yeah.
are so much more motivated than lovers. Pardon the word, I hate that word.
Haters don't want to miss more content to hate on.
Yeah, they're very vocal about it. So I agree with you. It's a good thing.
But here's the thing about that, and this teaser that came out the other day. I think that it was very smart to not pull any punches anymore and not be super coy, and know that, look, people wanted to know what Chucky looks like in the show. That's their number one interest of what's happening. Is Brad doing the voice, which is already known now, which was never really up for question. But and what does Chucky look like? So what they just released wasn't just like a sleeve and a shoe, and it wasn't like being sneaky. It was like, look, this is what our doll looks like. We wanted it to look similar to Child's Play 2. Any real fan who understands the progression of these films knows that in the first 2, 3, Chucky was turning human progressively. That had a major effect on how he ended up looking, especially later on in the film. But I also say, and I've been saying this to everyone who did complain about the different Chucky looks, if we're talking about a mass-produced, sold doll over 3 decades, in what world would it look exactly the same for 3 decades?
It wouldn't. That's a great point, because even Barbie,
They all changed.
Barbie has those giant tits and a tiny waist, and they sort of desexualized her a little bit as it's gotten more, less misogynist. So the doll should have the same progression. It should look more and more modern, because the show isn't in a time capsule. It's always 1988. It's 2021 in the sequel. So a 2021 doll is what,
And also the truth is about the changes in tone and looks and all this different stuff, that I think Don has just been spot on with what he did with all of it. But if we tried to make Child's Play 1 7 times, nobody would give a shit anymore. It would be like, okay, we saw this.
Yeah.
So even though the Bride of Chucky comes out, and that's a very different type of movie, people got crazy excited about that. Seed of Chucky came out, people weren't as excited. But when I look at it in the arc of everything that's been told, we were talking about something absurd as a 2.5 foot tall doll killing people. So why not make a movie where we really, take shots at ourselves in that way? I mean, That's the expression, make fun of yourself before others make fun of you.
Yeah, be in on your own joke.
Be in on your own joke, you know? And that was, and one thing I could say about the show coming up in comparison to those films, and this kind of started in Curse a little bit and continued in Cult. For a while there, you know, in the original films, Chucky wanted nothing more than to get out of that body. He did not want to be a doll. He felt trapped as a doll. He thought he could get into a kid and live a whole life again. And he was excited about that, but luckily that didn't work out. But anyway, he after that for a while in those next couple movies, he was just enjoying being a killer. He's like, I'm Chucky, the killer doll, and I'm having fun, you know. And he really was. He likes killing, as Brad Dourif says, not to steal one of his lines that he would say if he was here, but I do a lot of interviews with him. And he always says what he loves about Chucky is his ability to turn a human being into a piece of meat. And he really loves his job. These are things Brad would say if he were here.
He really loves his job.
He really loves his job. And that's true. And that was fun for a few movies. But going into this series, especially, Chucky has a motivation again. There's something.
He has an agenda.
He has an agenda, and there's something he's trying to accomplish.
Right. So it's not just random killings that are opportunist murders.
Yeah.
It's part of a plan.
And you know, having these separate dolls, I think some people were just too confused by the idea that a spirit could be duplicated, you know? And it is a little confusing. Like, does each one have all of the memories of all the other ones? Is it all in their brain because they share, you know? I don't know. But does Chucky have a brain? I mean, anyway, their consciousness is shared. And I think that just, you know, this story is one Chucky's experience, basically. And it all ties in.
The Chucky, though. So
it is,
in a Cult, when they had the multiple Chuckies for the first time, they bicker with each other and made fun of each other. So they aren't literally the same.
Yeah, they have
they have
separate personalities, but the same. Yeah,
like different sides of the same coin. You know?
Yeah.
I'm yet to duplicate my soul, so I don't really know how that would feel. But
If you do, let us know.
yeah. We'll see. Science is getting more and more interesting, isn't it?
Definitely.
You know, I think that's why, or at least I'm curious, is why. I know why I'm really excited to see this, and it's also because, again, seeing you know, original cast members come back. I think we're starting to see that more and more in horror films, which I think is great because I miss them. So you know, when I saw that you both were, you know, at the very end of Cult of Chucky, I was so excited. And then once they announced the series, oh my God, please come back, because I just think there's more story to tell. And so, and I think Child's Play 2 was, and I'm biased because it was a wild ride. And so it's one of my favorites. But I'm curious then what's been the experience then when, you know, I guess at the conventions, now especially, how do you think, you know, when you see the fans, how they'll react, since I know I'm excited to see that you guys are coming back. So,
yeah. Well, you know, like when Cult of Chucky came out, I got a boost, if you want to call it that, at conventions. Obviously, I have more people excited to talk to me but what I think we may have set up for ourselves in this show, and of course, you never really can predict the success of anything. I think with what we've seen and what we know, we can predict the quality of it. I think most people
We've seen it, so we know.
Most people watch it will genuinely really love it, and that's great. The success of it, you know, you never know. But, you know, the main focus of this story, you know, is Jake Wheeler, right? Is it Wheeler or what?
Yeah, it's Wheeler.
It's Wheeler, yeah. Jake Wheeler is the main, but there's 3 other kids that really fill out the main cast. There's 4 characters. And, you know, even though most people that I talk to and meet were fans of Chucky since they were kids, a lot of people close to my age are really big Chucky fans. Like, that was the time, you know, when you were a kid. Now, for their kids, instead of it being like, oh, I got into Chucky because my mom's into Chucky, you know, like, this is my parents' thing, but I love it, which we meet people like that all the time. Having these younger kids in this show is going to bring in a different audience that maybe is seeing Chucky for the first time in their lives. And even if they do know Chucky and they're watching this, they're going to feel like this is their ship. This is their child. You know, this is a current, fresh version of this that with these kids that are close to their age, like it could really bring in a crowd of people that are separate from, you know, the diehard horror fans that we meet all the time.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to create another generation of new devotees. You know, if the kids in our show could have the success of the Stranger Things kids and like become little rock stars in their own right, that's great for the franchise. And a careful viewer, an actual, you know, anybody that sort of fetishizes the franchise, with all they call, you guys may or may not know the term Easter egg. Easter eggs are little presents in movies that insiders will know what that means. And a lot of like Child's Play 2 love thrown into the series very subtly. I mean, not subtle to me because I saw them all. They seem like bold and obvious to me. But that's because Child's Play, I know that movie so well. But I think there's going to be a lot of that sort of like pay attention, you know.
Yeah, the biggest fans, the biggest eagle-eyed diehard fans will be spotting things the entire time. And that's kind of, you know, that's a great advantage of having season 1 of a TV show with 30 years of shit to pull from. You know what I mean? So yeah.
And I want to say also, like 2 years ago, I did the 90210 reboot. And I don't know if anybody watched it. I was 6 episodes. I was super proud of it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a really great reinvention of the show. And it, to reference what we said about being in on your own joke, I think the only way to bring that show back was to be in on our own joke and not be so earnest and like now go back to. And people thought they wanted to see Brandon Walsh serving mega burgers to David and Donna at the Peach Pit, which they think they wanted that. Had we given them that, they would have been like, "This is so fucking boring, so fucking depressing." What you know? And guess what? We're all 50. You know, no one's 22 anymore, and it didn't do well because people were upset that it wasn't.
Yeah, I think it was too smart for its own good, a little bit like that.
Nothing's too smart for its own good. Smart is always good.
Well, it depends. It is in the sense that it was a quality show and a great idea, but to get people excited about a new concept is an extra challenge, you know.
Yes,
but you're absolutely right that if they did that, if they were all hanging out at the Peach Pit and like
if it was just fucking bullshit. Why is she 55 at the Peach Pit still? This is ridiculous. And then they also wanted us to be 25 still. Like, I don't want to watch a bunch of middle-aged people. I was like, well, fucking we are middle-aged. What do you want? So I'm hoping the Chucky audience is more open-minded than the 90210 audience happened to turn out to be.
People say that to me all the time. Man, Andy, you got older. Andy, you've grown. Yeah, it's fucking 35 years.
So have you have 7 more years.
Yeah, it'd be really weird if I didn't, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense. Well, touching on that though, so obviously the teaser that dropped, little 20-second teaser that got us all really excited. I was like, oh my god, it's actually, because it's obviously one thing to know it's coming, but as soon as you get that little tidbit, you're like, oh my god, it's here. And obviously it was only a small amount, so and it was a very slim amount of story. So how excited are you for the audiences and horror fans to see the full first trailer at Comic-Con, because obviously we only got a slice of 20 seconds and it was mainly Chucky, so
it's only a week away, and
we've seen that trailer.
We've seen it,
and it's great.
It is really, really great.
And I want to interject, sorry Alex, that unlike I mean, there's always the whole like, where is so and so, like, and I was like, where's Shannon, so it's always somebody's a fan of some random character that like every character has their fans, no matter how small the character might be. Like, I want the guy from the truck, the African American guy that called me a crazy bitch. Or whatever. Where's he?
He's a crazy bitch.
Yeah,
where's that guy?
I want that guy. Yeah. But
I'm not watching if the crazy bitch guy's not in it.
Exactly. That cop that she said dulls the bleed to.
Yeah. I do get like what I've watched all the movies. I love them. I just have one question. What happened to Mike Norris's partner?
Yes.
It's like, I don't fucking know. Nothing.
I have a quick aside on that. A friend of mine wrote an incredible memoir called All Souls, and it's about growing up in the poor Irish projects in Boston. And like 4 of 10 kids died before they were 20 in his family. And the book is like, it's all souls. It's great. I recommend it reading to anyone. It's the American Angela's Ashes, right? And all like the number one question he would get is, what happened to Sergeant, which was the German Shepherd in the book? It's like, what happened to Sarge? But that's a quick story. But we have gotten very little negative feedback to the look of the doll to the trailer. Like, I anticipated, because people really like to be negative and really like to pride. Look at me, I'm controversial. I don't like it. Like, it's been very little of it though, which is encouraging.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's a mentality that I don't understand, maybe because I've my whole life had a little more attention than I ever want anyway. But I feel like people put negative comments because they know that they'll get a lot of comments on it. They'll get your fucking phone will go bing, 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 because people are freaking, arguing with them. They'd rather.
Well, we had an office for how long? I mean, I get that. It's.
But hey, I mean, there's always going to be that. But I think when I posted the teaser, and I granted this is on my Instagram, and you would think someone who follows me is not going to be an asshole. You would think, but they are. But anyway,
you're so naive.
But I think like in like the first 6 hours, I got 275 comments on the teaser that I put, and I think there were 2 comments out of those that were not that great. So I mean, that's that's exceptional. And not only that, but like I was saying, the number one thing that feels good to have off our shoulders, I mean, Don's shoulder really, but it's a shared experience for all of us that have been with it this long, and it means as much to us, the fact that people are excited about Chucky's look is such a fucking relief. Like, they should be, because it looks great. But just having that kind of part off, because I know that as silly as it is, some Chucky fans, wouldn't watch the film if the doll didn't look the way they wanted it to look. And I got so little of that. Some people said, "Oh, his hair looks big." It's that's not such a big deal. One person said, "Oh, that doll's fucking ugly," and I commented, "Really?" or something like that. And they're like, first of all, I'll give you a little inside tip on what it's like being someone with a following on these things. People say something mean, and then if you respond to it, they're the nicest people in the world.
Thank you so much.
They flip on a dime so fast. Like
on my Instagram reels, I've been reading mean tweets, and one of my favorite ones is a guy like, "You a ho 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 ho. You're not even a celebrity. Go eat a dump truck. Go fuck yourself." And I'm like, "Hi, thanks for being a fan." And he's like, "Oh my God, you noticed. Hi, it's literally that's how it went. I was like, "Go fuck yourself." But they really just want attention. It's
and I've even had one of them explain that to me once. I was like, "Well, that's because he said something, and then I said something, and they're like changed their tune." And I was like, "Well, that was a shitty thing to say." And they just, I guess, have no filter or whatever. And they said, "I'm sorry, I just said that because I thought you'd respond."
Yeah.
And it's like,
so negative
you'd
attention.
even take negative attention over no
so
attention.
Fucked up.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I have heroes. I can never, my brain can never go to a place of, I bet if I insult him, he'll notice me.
Yeah.
Trent Reznor, you're a pussy.
Yeah. Not a response. He hates me. Awesome.
So the Chucky, one more thing without giving anything away, like Chucky, I think another magical thing about the franchise is Chucky's always practical. He's a practical special effects doll. He's not a CGI. He's practical. But practicality has come a long way. Like, technology's moved on in the best possible way for the doll. So he has more fluidity and naturalness to his, he works faster, by the way. Alex and I always talk about back in the day when it would take, they would do.
Oh man, in the first couple, it took a lot of work to get him to do the things that
9 puppeteers trying to work. One has the eyebrows, one has eyeballs, one has the mouth.
Yeah.
And so they would even like play back Brad Dourif's playback, because he records it first, then they had to have the doll's mouth match what Brad said, and they would play it back at half time, so it's very slow to give the puppeteers an easier thing to have the mouth do because it's moving more slowly.
Yeah.
And now he works like a motherfucker.
Yeah, he does.
He's good.
They're right on it. They get it almost every take.
Yeah.
I have footage of that from Child's Play 2 where they're moving the doll and he says, "Snap out of it. I've never seen a dead body before."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it.
Well, going back to Child's Play 2, that film ends in a massive, elaborate set piece in the Good Guy Doll Factory. Is there any, without giving anything away, because we don't want to know anything going into the show, is there any sort of lavish set piece that you know of in the Chucky show?
Yeah, actually, nothing like that. Not like not that. There's no Chucky warehouse.
And the reason that could be as big as it was is it's half the movie. I love when people go, my favorite scene is the warehouse scene. That's like 45 minutes of movie.
It is.
So it's not a scene, it's half the film.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing
like that, but I mean, I'm thinking in particular about that house.
No, it's grand, and they're spending money on this. It's not like some like independent film where like they're using their mom's house to, it's they put money behind it, which is really encouraging too, because it means that they are confident in it, which I think any Chucky fans.
I also think the advertising is going to be really top level advertising for it. I mean, maybe not as much as like a show on Fox where people go on late night all the time and push it, but even if you've been watching sci-fi at all over the past couple months, they've been showing the films a lot. They have commercial spots already. They're definitely getting people excited about it. We did a really big press day the other day and did some fun stuff. So I really think it's got a shot to do well. For me, like you guys know me at some level from the internet and stuff. Like I'm not really in the business. I own a recording studio in Florida. I haven't been on an audition since like 1993. It was my choice to kind of stop doing that. So I don't have any like preconceived thought of like, it's got to be a big hit because I need that. Yeah. My desire for it to be a hit is for the hard work of everyone to pay off. Because this
season 2.
Yeah, I mean,
season 2.
Yes.
The cast works hard, no doubt. The crew works harder, no doubt. And there's so many people involved and so many. And I mean, a lot of these people are people that we're very fond of. I mean, Don, I love, and Jennifer and Fiona, and I mean, they're all working so hard that it deserves to be a hit because of the amount of passion that went into it. When you think about how the rarity of this, what franchise gets 7 films over 3 decades and then gets a TV show?
With the same story and the same people.
With the same story. How many actors?
Can't really think of any of them.
How many actors in the history of the world have played a character that was kind of beloved and loved when they were 6 years old, and then still playing that character when they're 40?
Yeah.
I'll pause. Yeah, I'll wait for you to
you.
I know.
Yeah.
It's been a trend in horror to every time they would make a sequel, whether it was Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, they would always kill off the remaining characters at the beginning of the next movie and just tell a brand new story. That's been the tale as old as time. But this series is very different with that. They have continued with the same characters for decades, and it's a really commendable
I don't
thing.
mind that either, what you just said. I don't mind that either. It's kind of like a comedian throwing away his act and starting fresh, I think both are interesting. But yeah, this is and like me talking about I don't audition. I'm not really in the business. Not to get too into that. I enjoy acting. I'm not. I feel pretty comfortable. Like I was worried.
Great job.
I was worried about because I don't do it often. But
don't tell anyone. Acting's not that hard.
We'll cut that out.
It's hard to get a job.
Yeah.
It's not hard to act.
Acting is more fun than difficult if you're comfortable. Comfortable is the key. Once you can get comfortable doing something like that, it does get easier. The business is fucking really hard. like
Mean.
so hard that I didn't want it in my life.
Yeah.
You know, if I never stopped auditioning in 1993, would I have maybe a nicer life materialistically? Maybe, but I'd probably
No,
be,
actually, because I have been doing it the whole
and you
time.
do have a better life than me
Not,
materialistically.
not really.
Yeah.
Not really.
I owe 98% of a tiny house in Florida.
I bought my house 25,
Yeah.
25 years ago, and I owe more on it now than I paid for it. So
I'm just saying. Yeah, no,
It's hard.
It's hard work. It's hard
Either
work.
way.
It's hard work for people that even do get a break at one point. You know, people think like, oh, I was in a big movie. I probably have a bunch of money. And I mean, people just have to really apply their logic to realize that that's ridiculous. Like,
Mhm.
you know, I did not get paid a ton of money as a child actor in his first film in the 80s. But even if I did, it was 35 years ago.
Yeah.
How much money could I give you right now that you'd have 35 years from now?
I can give you
Yeah.
actual numbers. 'Cause I did this one time at a convention.
Yeah.
Somebody stood up. It was a panel Alex and I were on with Sid Haig. And somebody stood up and asked me,
How much money you made?
he said, no, he said, why do you still work? You obviously could retire after Child's Play 2. You obviously had enough money to quit. There's two problems with that. One is, why would you, it's not just about, you're an artist. You want to create and keep creating. So it's like, I have enough, like, you know, Tom Cruise didn't stop working because he could afford to, which he obviously can,
Yeah.
you know, so, and then like,
You've already done what you love. Why do you keep doing
Why do
it?
you
Why
keep
don't you just
doing
stop
it?
doing what you love?
Yeah.
Yeah. God.
which is such an odd question for that reason.
Yeah.
But then I was like, let me actually, I'll tell you what I fucking made. I made $5,000 a week, which at the time for me, I was 24 years old. It was a lot of money, $5,000, but I worked for 7 weeks. So that's $35,000 that I made in 1989. And I paid 20% of that out to my agent and manager. So what's that? $25,000. Then I also paid taxes on, which puts it down to more like $15,000. And guess what? I'm not still living on $15,000 3 years later.
Yeah. Yeah.
People have a weird.
So
yeah.
And the whole ka-ching, like I saw Child's
and then
Play
people
2
say,
last night, and it ka-chinged me. It
yeah,
got
I was
7
just gonna say
cents.
that
I got
too. Yeah,
7
people say,
fucking
but don't
cents.
you get residuals? What do you think? We get checks of $17,000 in residual. We get
No.
checks of 17 cents.
Yes, literally, and they tax
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
that's
Oh
the
my gosh.
When I open up a SAG check and it's $109, I'm like, whoa, nice. Like that. That's awesome.
Take away tonight.
Yeah, that'll pay half of my one bill.
welcome to behind the scenes in
Yeah.
acting with Christine and Alex. It's hard, you know, and like, and finally on that, like that job could have been the only job I did that year, you know, because you don't work constantly when you're an actor. So yeah, so a $25,000 year isn't a particularly good year.
No, and
It's
especially
the poverty level.
and when I was auditioning in New York City, and I lived in North Jersey, which is only 6-7 miles away from where I was going, but that's an hour and a half in traffic because you're talking about like Bergen County, New Jersey, which is I think like the highest population per area, maybe anywhere. It's packed as hell there, and going into Manhattan, which is, you know, so yeah, so I say 1993 because that's really when I stopped auditioning. But in like 1999, when I was 18, I thought I'd give it another shot. I don't even count this as really trying because honestly, I went on like 7 auditions and was like, no, and that's not trying. You know, you got to go on 100 before maybe you'll get something. But when I, you know, and I didn't have money and everything, I was waiting tables. I had to take off of work to pay for gas and parking and tolls to drive to New York City. So take off of work from a serving job. I'm out $75 or whatever for that weeknight. Parking's about $35 an hour in Manhattan. Gas is whatever. Now that's not too much. The tolls to get over is $14 over the bridge or whatever. So it's like every audition will cost you,
easy
150. You know, like so. You really have to. You have to be willing to just struggle like unbelievably to get something. And even when you've had a break in your life. I mean, Child's Play was a break, but people
and
think,
I've had other breaks and
yeah,
I'm still struggling. So
people think that, you know, let me just say that the gap between like the actors that are really
The 1%.
The 1% of
Mhm.
actors that they have a career and they don't have to audition, they get offered things, they keep making money on top of money. That's just not what the business is like for most people at
like
all.
2% of the guild makes 98% of the money.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre to me.
It's like America, basically.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's a microcosm of the macrocosm.
Yeah, it is.
Mm.
Yeah, we're a good duo for podcasts because we both talk a fucking lot.
Yep.
No, it's
That's amazing.
Yeah, this is brilliant.
We both talk a lot and drink a lot. So
Well, then I'm just gonna actually ask, what's your drink of choice? I'm a beer drinker, so
I'm not.
I'm
not at all.
Taste.
For very good reason. Well, the reason. I don't burp. I've never burped like in my life. My body does not do that for some reason.
no.
I've only really
Okay.
met one other person in my life that shared that.
You need to find a support group.
There's not many of us. But yeah, I couldn't if I tried. I never have. I think like maybe 5 times in my life a tiny little came out, but that's it. Like I can't burp.
You must have
So-
been a really pissy baby. Like
No, my mom says that wasn't a problem when I was a baby. She said I did as a baby, but I don't know. So I don't drink so beer is like, I mean, there are times if I'm at a baseball game or something, or like there are times that I'll have a beer. If I'm in Amsterdam, I'll have a Heineken there because it's like the best in the world because they make it right there. It's just great. So sometimes
he's not a drinker, by the way.
sometimes I'll suffer. Sometimes I'll suffer with a bubble in my stomach for a beer, but no, I'm not a drinker. I drink a lot when I drink, but I drink rarely.
I drink every fucking day.
She drinks every day, and I smoke pot constantly.
I drink
So-
every day, and I
Legend.
do
If she
drink
smokes,
beer.
she smokes 0 pot.
I will not touch the pot.
If she hit this once, it would be good night. She'd
Call
be
the
in my
ambulance.
spare bedroom.
Call the ambulance. No, I do like beer. He's seen me drink it. It's kind of my entry into a meal. I have a beer first. It's so refreshing and crisp and lovely.
I like that.
But I'm a wine girl, actually.
Oh.
But I'm drinking a gin and tonic
Drinking
right
gin
now.
tonic.
That's a
That's
gin and tonic.
my personal choice.
Really? I
Yeah.
don't like. I just told her it smells like carrot juice to me. She doesn't
Juniper.
understand why, but to me it smells like carrot juice.
Gin
So
is
you're a beer
delicious.
guy, and you're a gin and tonic guy, and
Ben.
Cider.
Oh, hard cider.
Oh, yeah?
Okay. My stepdad's a hard cider guy too.
Mm.
So much.
Kupferberg is my personal favorite. I adore that.
See, that's not even
You
cider. That's fizzy. Juice.
Yeah, but I'm a weak person.
Yeah.
I'm a very weak person.
What's the pot? What's the pot situation in the UK? Is it medical or not even?
I think there's been a surge in, CBD oils and things starting to make its way slowly in the gummies. So it's getting here, and it will
Behind.
hopefully get here soon. So
Yeah.
we'll
Second
see.
clock.
In-
Yeah.
In Ireland, it's more for medical, but that doesn't stop a lot of us.
What happened? I heard
Close.
recently that Ireland was trying to decriminalize all drugs. Did you hear that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And honestly, it is. I truly do hope it's something that the Social Democrats are putting forward. And I truly do think that is a very good idea because it's
I
a very
agree.
unfair drug policy.
I
It would be a great
agree
way to.
completely.
Yeah.
Where in Ireland are you?
The Midlands. So right in the middle of the country.
Okay.
Hmm.
You're in the south of Ireland. You're not in the north. I spent 2 weeks in the south in Ireland, and from Shannon, and then driving all the way up to like Waterford, and then up to Dublin, and did some jaggy things
Waterford is
all the
lovely.
way and stuff. So I'm Irish. My last name's McCarthy, so Ireland's
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a little Irish too. My grandmother was 100% Irish on my mom's side.
Yeah.
But I don't have any freckles.
Yeah, well,
My sister does though.
That makes me feel so happy.
I'm mostly Italian. Plus I grew up in North Jersey, which is like
Sopranos.
even if you're not Italian, you're Italian if you live there.
That's
Yeah.
how Boston is. Even if you're not Irish, you're Irish.
You're Irish, yeah.
Mm.
I love that. We're talking about like movies in general, and obviously right now, it's really exciting with Chucky and everything. But looking at like how movies are now, are there any? Obviously, it's come a long way. Are there any franchises you look at right now and you think, do you know what? I could see myself maybe popping in there for a little cameo / two movie deal, 3 movies.
Okay, well, look, if we saw something that we liked and we're like, oh, that's a great show. I wish I had a job on that show. that there's a massive gap between wanting that and that becoming even remotely
Correct.
possible.
Yeah.
Like
Us wanting it is the same as you guys
it
wanting
is
it.
the same as you wanting it. It really is. Yeah, it's like there's no
So
way to
yes,
do that.
Insidious. Yes.
Yeah.
Hostel.
Yeah.
Yes. Saw movies.
Yeah.
Yes. Final Destination. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
The Strangers. The second Strangers, by the way, is
Oh,
outrageously good.
Yeah.
It's so
Oh.
good.
Incredible.
Strangers.
So good.
The Strangers is in my top 3 favorite horror films.
Did you see
I
the
think
second one?
I have. Yeah.
You guys agree it's
Second one.
as good.
I was like, it took.
Yeah.
I was like, it took 10 years to make, but you know what? I'm not mad because it was
Yeah.
great.
Now I'm thinking maybe I didn't see it. I thought I did.
It's
but,
awesome.
Maybe I didn't.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean,
What's her face?
if I could be on
Christina
anything,
Hendricks.
it would be. Well, this last season of Dexter would have been fun because I'm such a massive fan of that show. But it would probably be It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. If I could have a little
Oh my God.
it would be that.
That is my favorite show. I've probably seen every episode,
Yeah.
probably 10
Oh my.
times because I've rewatched it. Oh, wow.
I have a funny story about that.
Okay, go ahead, tell me. But she won't watch it, and she's
I
missing
have,
out.
No, I have watched like 3 episodes, and it's genuinely funny. Rob McElhaney, is that his name?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I have in my house in LA that I still owe more money on than I paid for it. That house, there's like a little guest apartment under it that I was renting out, and I had a friend in it who's like, I want to move. I want to break my lease. I can't afford it. I don't want to live here anymore. I'm like, oh, well, tough. And then I'll try to rent it though. I'll try to get you out so I get somebody else in so you can leave. And Rob, that guy came in, and he's like, oh my God, it's so cute. I'm like, yeah, do you want? He goes, yeah,
So the downstairs party came in?
I just sold a show, and I'm gonna like, this is a show, and yeah, I totally want this apartment. Can you have your tenant move out early so I can move in? And I was like, I fucking can. And I did. I had my friend move out. I'm like, good news for you. Somebody else wants the place. And then Rob didn't take it. He's I changed my mind. And I was a dick back to him. I was like, hey, bitch, I kicked out my tenant for you. You owe me a month's rent at least because I'm not getting rent that I would have gotten otherwise. And it was him.
And you know what's funny
So
about that too?
I'm never going to audition for that show.
You know what's funny about that too? Season 1, which was the shortest one, it's only 6 episodes, is the only one that they filmed in Philly. After that, they filmed.
Can you hear him talking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
After that, they filmed it in LA. Like, so he could, you know.
I have seen a few. It is genuinely funny. It's my style of
It
humor.
is absolutely your style.
I know.
Yeah.
So
Well, I was never a Mac guy anyway.
What?
I was never a Mac guy anyway. You know, I'm all about Danny DeVito and Caitlin
Yeah.
Olsen on that show.
But he's the brain behind it. He's
They're
the
all
he's the
great.
mastermind.
They're all
so
so great.
Mm.
They're all so great. Mac is hysterical. Caitlin's hysterical.
and he might not even know
yeah.
that I'm that girl. Like he may not even connect me.
Yeah.
My name is McCarthy, but my acting name is Elise. So he might not even make the
Yeah.
connection at all. Or maybe he does. I don't know.
If they let JD Hormeyer direct a scene, which they did, then they should let me fucking act in an episode. You guys-
Yeah.
I don't have any pull, so
JD from the Howard Stern show, they gave him like a director for a day
he sucks. I hate
status.
JD.
Yeah.
In other news, I got a
Yeah.
dick pic last night.
Yeah.
Woo!
Unsolicited, of course.
Clearly.
Oh,
Yeah.
then no. Oh.
Oh,
First
never
message.
mind.
No,
Too.
I'm saying like I've never
First
asked for
message,
one.
not even a lead-in message, not even a
Not
like,
even-
hey there, can I show you my cat? Oops, sorry, wrong
Oh.
thing. It wasn't like that.
No, it was awful.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know
That-
what's wrong with you guys, but like it's nuts. Like
It's not you guys. It's that. It's not.
I know I love boys, but
Hmm.
None of
So
these.
so do
three-
I. So it's
None of these
okay.
three guys do that.
have any of you?
And
I
as a-
don't.
No, but even as a gay guy, you don't want a guy to just fucking send you that out of nowhere.
No, that's. I mean, when I was younger, sure, I didn't care, but now I'm like, that's okay. I don't want to be at work and like open up my phone, like, oh my god, no, that's.
I think just starting a conversation with that is like so aggressive. Like not even like aggressive, like hostile is the word I'm looking for. Actually, it's just
No,
hostile.
and then
What a hostile move, you
and
know?
it was intended to be hostile because it was a new account with 0 posts and 0, so it's a burner account. So
Hmm.
it was probably you, Alex.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
Who knows?
You guys are so sorry.
That's all right. Don't worry. Ben, do you want-
No, not at
We are
all.
actually having a great time, honestly.
Yeah.
And I couldn't think of a better first interview to ever for us
Yeah.
to have, because I'll be honest, I was fully nervous, just because,
Yeah,
But you guys are-
the thing of it is, dude. Maybe it's because I don't know what the factor is that we have such commonalities between the two of us, but we're very, for actors, and I don't even really consider, whatever, for actors who make a living being fake, we're the realest people you could meet. Like, and I do lives on my Instagram all the time, and I'm exceptionally myself on them. I don't act like someone else. I don't, even though my parents both complain that I smoke cigarettes on my lives. Like, I'm a cigarette smoker. People don't like it, and I get it, but I'd rather be slightly inappropriate if that's how I really am. I'd never offend anyone. I'm not the type to ever.
I don't give a fuck if I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if someone deserves it, I'm really like clever enough to put them down in a way, like kind of like insult them with a smile kind of thing.
Mhm.
But although not angry with a smile, I hate that. When people are like, I know, and they smile and they're like angry. I hate that. But no, I'm just we're both very, very much ourselves.
We're
all
also
the
both
time.
super friendly until we're not.
Yeah.
Phil?
But unless you're a dick, we're super friendly. So
Yeah.
No, I agree. Well, we've got one final question each for you, and then of course we know we've got to let you go because you're going on to do your exciting
that's it.
It's 420.
420. So
Oh.
don't worry.
Hey!
Yay.
But that means nothing to potheads, right? That means
It doesn't, but
it
it's
means nothing. It's never meant anything.
It's a great meme.
I've already smoked 4 joints by 420. It doesn't. I don't wait till then.
Well,
Good.
Christine, your photography is fantastic and
Nice.
so beautifully shot. Have you always been into photography, and what are your inspirations?
Wow, I love that you even know that I do that. My parents are both artists. My stepfather is a watercolorist and a sculpture artist. He does mixed media stuff as well. My mom is a photographer. So they're both my inspirations. They both like to photo. My mother did a lot of live music, a lot of old punk rock stuff, like, Public Image, and like in tiny clubs, like Bauhaus in a club with 50 people. And there's a lot of that. And then they both do her other photography, and mine is heavily influenced by them. And his paintings are about decaying Americana, roadside Americana, like old, a lot of stuff from Missouri, by the way. Do you know where
I
Lebanon?
saw, yeah, in Lebanon.
Missouri?
Yep, I can tell you, it's never been the destination, but from St. Louis to Springfield, you're always driving through it.
And the Munger Moss Motel is there in Lebanon. And
Did you ever set up a dark room for yourself?
No, I didn't never develop. My mother had a dark room though. My mother was developing film.
I took a photography course, and I hated the class because the teacher was weird, and he'd like put up a picture and he'd just sit there until we said what he thought about the picture. Like, asking us what we think. And until we said what he was thinking, it just went on, and it would go on for like an hour and a half on one picture. Like, okay, but
that sounds like
what else?
Sounds like film school.
It's like, no, dude, maybe I'm right and you're wrong. But my favorite thing about that class was the developing. I thought that was very, very fun.
I never did that. But so yeah, a lot of my imagery is heavily doctored, like heavily photoshopped, where I'll take a sky from a photo I took and put it behind something else I shot, so that it'll say like, Memphis sky over Lebanon, Missouri, and that's literally what it is. It's a Memphis sky over a different city, and I'll usually name that in the photo. And then food. So my food channel, my food blog, which predates my food channel, was like I like photography. I was photographing food, and I like to cook, and I'd post these things, and people were like, "Oh, that looks delicious. How do you make it?" And I was like, "Oh, fuck it, I'll make a blog. I'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone." And like, that's what it is. Go, you can make it too. And that got stale for me after a couple of years, so I started the channel. It's videovegan.com on YouTube.
How many?
150 episodes or so.
150 now,
I've been
yeah.
super lazy because people are kind of.
We're gonna do one at some point. I'm gonna clip.
I told Ben he couldn't say that word.
People.
Oh, because you're gonna
cunts.
offend her? Are you kidding?
Yeah.
That's-
You never know.
No, in the UK, cunt is a fucking
If someone asks me,
term of affection.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Ah, you
Why
cunt.
you gotta be a cunt? Yeah. If someone asks me what Christine's favorite words are, fucking cunt would be my favorite.
My
Ah.
classics.
It's not
That's
even close,
amazing.
honestly.
They're
They're so
classics.
above the others. That's like,
They're classics.
yeah.
So yeah, so the channel but vegans are really mean to me and meat eaters are really mean to me. So everyone's mean to me. Like I can't win. So anyway, yes.
Yeah.
So if you want to see photography though, go my pinup art, like a pinup girl, mypinupart.com has the photography at it. It's all for sale. You can get it on a coffee mug or a shirt or beach towel.
And
I saw the
brought-
Lebanon one. I
I-
really enjoyed it.
What's that?
Oh, I saw the ones in Lebanon, Missouri, and I was like, that's amazing. And I did see that you could get that on shirts, so I probably will get one.
Dude, and also know that I had the best sushi of my life in St. Louis. In a landlocked town, I had the best
Mhm.
of my life. Yeah. In
It's very
the
true.
Kansas district. It was this crazy, weird place to find good sushi, but it was great.
Mm.
Go on, Alex. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
I was just saying, I brought my Canon 5D with me because I wanted to take some headshots for me while we're here.
You better hurry.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
but a day when I'm not stoned or drunk.
Like,
I'm not drunk, but
Mm.
you know.
That's
Child's Play 2 is going to hit different later.
Yes.
Well, that's
They're in
why
for it.
we're pre-gaming right now because
they're
You know,
front loading, yeah.
yeah, I mean, sitting with 25 fans and watching Child's Play 2 for the first time sounds awesomely fun. Honestly, it sounds
It
awesomely
does.
fun, but it also
Yeah.
I'd like to have a drink before doing that. You know.
It sounds like it could be anxiety. I would have anxiety.
What I'll say about this, the reason why I charge $50 to do this, besides like the impetus of this thought was just, hey, we're together. We've never watched a movie together.
Yeah.
Why don't we watch it? And then I was like, I bet fans would love to watch us watch it. And I was like, there's never been a commentary. Why don't we do a commentary? And if we were to just make it free, nobody would get a question in. There'd be way too many people there. There'd be trolls in there. There'd be people talking over all kinds of
Dick
shit and whatever.
pics being sent.
Yeah, it would just be a mess. It would honestly be a mess. So that's why I charge $50 for it, which I think is a fair price. I mean, some people have $250 cameos for a minute video. These people are gonna Skype with us
Insane.
live for 2 hours. But yeah, I made it that price just so the people that come are real fans. Like it'll be
It's
more
accessible,
uh,
and I think I enjoy when, that's why I was like, when you respond, I'm like, oh my gosh, you responded to my DM. That's amazing. But I think it's great that you make yourself accessible to fans. And so, I mean, I'm truly thankful and just, humbled by this experience. So,
Well, thank you, dude. And it is great the majority of the time. Obviously, the accessibility comes with a negative side to it also. But
Block.
yeah, the block feature helps, unless you have a crazy person that makes 75 new accounts
jeez.
following
We have
you.
somebody doing that.
Yeah,
to
we have
us.
someone doing it currently. It's absolutely
I
ridiculous.
saw you posted about it, and that was horrible.
And like if it were a small thing, I never would have posted about it, but I almost posted about it just to like kind of teach her a lesson a little bit, even though it didn't work. And I did that after nothing else was working. I tried reasoning with the person, that didn't work.
I left Twitter for like 3 weeks.
Yeah,
because of
it's
her.
just ridiculous. I mean, it's really ridiculous, the situation. But that's rare. Something like that to that extent. Honestly, that's one of a kind. No one's gone to that extent
No.
ever.
And I've been appealing to everybody to have it handled. And like, we've
Maybe-
never seen anything like this in our lives.
Maybe one new account to write. And usually if they did that, they'd write like, I'm sorry I offended you,
Or
whatever.
go fuck yourself.
Or go fuck yourself for blocking me or whatever, but that would be it. Like this girl is like making account after account and catfish
40 of
accounts,
them.
fake accounts and blah blah. She'll make a fake account and
Pretend to be somebody else. Like
But-
you're mean to my
but
friend.
she has bad English. She's from the
Netherlands.
Netherlands, and the words that she spells wrong,
Shh. She watches this.
I
She
don't give a
know.
shit.
Have some telltale signs. to give her away.
I called her out on the fact thing to
Yeah,
her. I was
yeah.
like, by the way, it's fuck, not fact with an A.
Facking. F-A-C-K.
Yeah, she kept writing that.
Facking.
And she'd write that like, no, I'm not. Okay, I don't care. Whatever. That's her name.
well,
It's
we
to
could.
learn. You don't need to edit it.
Oh,
It's giving her fame if she doesn't deserve.
It's not fame. It's not fame.
We're new. It's nothing.
I will. Then I guess for my final question, actually, can I also just say how much, also that I also appreciate Don. I think what he's doing, and just it's just it. I think it's great, and that he's still in the business and doing all this. But since you did mention Trent Reznor, I just have to ask then, what is your favorite Nine Inch Nails song that you've seen them perform live? If there's one that every time that's the song
that
you
them perform live is a different question. I mean, that's a different question than what's my favorite Nine Inch Nails song.
Answer them both.
I will to the best of my ability, because I've seen Nine Inch Nails 70 times in concert. I've been listening since I was 11 years old. I got a scratched up, no labeled gray cassette tape from a friend when I was 11, and I played it, and it was songs from Pretty Hate Machine on one side and Broken on the other, and yeah, I mean, it changed me drastically. I mean, nothing's impacted me more in my life than his music. So picking a song that is my favorite, that's got to be hard. Okay. That's impossible. I mean, it's impossible. I can name a few that are like my top, songs that I like. Reptiles, one of my absolute favorites. I could name 20 that are my favorite songs ever. But my favorite song live is a more interesting question, because
He rarely plays it, right?
Because I've seen them so many times, the songs that he rarely plays are kind of get me more excited. On the last tour, so I write Trent sometimes, not all the time. I'm not a total weirdo, but I write him sometimes, and he never responds. He's never responded once, but I still write him anyway. I don't care. I don't care. We all have our heroes. I don't write him weird shit. I'm the most respectful person in the world.
He sent him a dick pic last night.
I've never done anything close to anything like that. I respect the man so much. It's ridiculous. But no, but I've written a few respectful things. And one of the things that I wrote him in that tour, there's a song off an album called Still, and All That Could Have Been. If you know that song. If you don't know that song, it's one of the saddest.
You're looking that up.
It's one of the saddest songs ever, lyrically and musically. But he never played it live ever. And I was talking about for years, oh my God, I wish you'd play this song. I wish you'd play this song. I wish you'd play it. And when we were on tour, when you're a diehard Nine Inch Nails fan, you go to a bunch of shows.
Yeah.
If you go to half the tour, you're fucking on tour with
He's
them.
like a deadhead.
Pretty much.
I pretty much am. And I'm like, I have to, because I've experienced barrier dead center at a Nine Inch Nails show so many times, that's what I have to have. So I go to the shows the night before, and I'm in line the night before to be first to go in. And so are a group of 30 or so amazing friends that I've made from doing that, but anyways, he did play that at the last show that I saw him at. What I was going to say was I was at other shows, and we always check the set list, and he played it like in Chicago. And once he did, because I've been talking about it, 10 of my Nine Inch Nails diehard friends all messaged me like, check the fucking set list. You're not going to believe it. Blah, blah. And I'm friends with his nephew, who is also his mic guy on the show, on the tours. And I've known him for a long time, since he was like 14. But I told him several times that that's the song I want to hear live more than anything. I know tell Trent to play this is a ridiculous thing to say, but I've been asking for it for years. And I was on Barrier at the show, and he came up to me right before they played the first note of it. Damien, his nephew, did, and he tapped me on the shoulder and said, "It's your night," or something like that. "Tonight's your night."
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And then they started playing the first little riff of it. And if you know the song, and you know how sad the lyrics are and how much I relate to them regardless, but I was fucking like bawling through the entire song. It was a 5 minutes that was a blur of my life. So I'm going to say "And All That Could Have Been" is my favorite song to hear live. But the real answer, I guess, is probably "Now I'm Nothing" and "It's a Terrible Lie." I think is the best thing that they do live.
There we go. Well, you see, everyone, if you haven't heard those songs,
that was just me and you, dude. Nobody else cares. That was just me and you.
I think that's really amazing. I think when you get to see something like that, because I can think of an artist that only performed maybe 9 times in the States, and I got to see them one of the times.
Oh,
She's a Japanese artist, Utada Hikaru. It was in either Chicago or Vegas, and it was just something I know I won't get to see again. So seeing that live and just being able to experience something like that, I just think that's I
can relate to, and that my top artist of all time is Tom Waits.
Yeah.
Tom Waits doesn't play shows, and when he, on the rare occasion he does really, he'll play fucking Lebanon, Missouri. He won't play Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco, Chicago. He won't play any big cities because he doesn't believe in the whole green room backstage and doesn't want Sean Penn wants to get back and meet you. Like, he doesn't want that. So he only plays small towns, like in the South, like in the Rust Belt and the Bible Belt, and that's where they're doing these weird little shows in the middle of the country. So if you have to be a fucking diehard Tom Waits fan to fly your ass to Iowa to see him in some theater. I've seen him 3 times. I'm really lucky. His manager's a good friend of mine, so I've been able to see him a bunch. But it's a bunch is like 3 times. You know, like that's, Elvis Costello and Nick Cave are my other 2 top guys. And I've seen them both like 15 times each, you know, not 70, but
no, 70 is nuts. And I'm going to see him 71, 2, and 3 later this year.
That's awesome.
That's so exciting. Well, we've got one final question.
I get no special treatment. If you thought, oh, Andy for cosplay, I get nothing.
You shouldn't have sent that dick.
I get the opposite. I never, don't even put that out there. I would never in a million years.
Well, the final question then for you guys before you have to head off, we have to ask the old age question, of course. What's your favorite scary movie?
Exorcist.
You gotta ask it like Ghostface.
Okay, hang on. I'll try my best Ghostface accent. I don't know if I can do it. What's your favorite scary movie?
Ooh, that was cringy.
Yeah, that's
right.
That's.
Oh, wait, I want to interject a really weird thing. So the other day, I have a sleep app that I use.
Oh my God.
It monitors my sleeping, like when I went to bed, when I got up, and how well I slept. And
Why she even has this to begin with is a question. Okay? It records her while she sleeps. And it goes to the fucking cloud.
I'm not doing anything.
I
anyway,
know, but whatever.
Mostly it records my dog snoring, right? French bulldog, she snores like a motherfucker. But like on Monday, for some reason, they record like you were coughing, you were sleep talking.
That's the other thing about how smart the app is. It knows what it's hearing.
Yes.
If you sleep talk, it gives you a file, sleep talking.
Yeah.
And you press play.
Coughing.
So go ahead, tell them what you sleep talk.
So I did this. It's like a shh, Fiona Dorff. Shh. I just yelled his name in my sleep at 4:35 in the morning last Monday night, and nobody knows why.
Now that what I talked about earlier about how real we are, I almost want to put in quotes. She fucking tells Fiona that she sends her the audio of this.
Well, yeah.
It happened. It's real. We're being real.
That's
this
awesome.
happened.
She called security.
No. She did. What she did is even funnier. She insisted to this day, it's a prank. That didn't happen. And Christine put the nail on the head. She said, Fiona cannot accept that this is real.
This is real.
Does not want to accept that really happened. All right, what's your favorite scary movie?
Exorcist.
Yeah, I knew that was the answer. And mine is The Shining.
Oh, it's a good second. It's a good
Oh,
one.
those are good movies.
Excellent film.
Nicholson's my number 1 actor. So
Yeah, The
Although
Shining.
Doctor Sleep is
First
better.
of all, for someone who's in the Chucky movies or whatever, I tend to really like horror movies that could really have that are real, that doesn't have a supernatural aspect, and even The Shining thing, supernatural, but I could actually believe that something on that level is possible anyway. Like that's not such a stretch to begin with. But someone trapped in a fucking hotel over the winter for months, losing their mind.
Oh yeah,
possible.
Because
The way Jack plays it makes it seem even more possible. And I think acting wise, direction, story, that was my favorite.
And as a final note, Lori Petty was here in town since like February. And I know her, we did a pilot together in the 80s, like for both of us, one of our first jobs. And so I've known her forever, but not been like close to her. We haven't stayed in touch. She became a big movie star.
And they're 2 kits. They're both Kit from League of Their Own. She played her in a TV series.
I'm not Lori Petty, but I play her on TV.
2 kits and no caboodle.
That's correct. I got a caboodle. So does she.
Yeah.
At any rate, she got here in February, Toronto in the winter. And she worked one day, and then Toronto closed down again. They locked her in a hotel room for 3 months. And she was like, I'm broken. They broke me. I'm broken. And that's The Shining. It's The Shining. Lori Petty, really. She's home now. She's in Venice, California. And she's like, got her cat, and she's doing great. But she was like, I'm really not okay. Yeah. So isolation does break people.
Not to mention that you didn't let me finish my sentence. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to bash your brains in. Probably the best delivery of the best line in cinema history.
He's never delivered a line poorly.
No, never, ever. But that
He did
stalking
try
her
to
up the
pick me up at a
stairs.
party, though.
Yeah, you and everybody.
Ooh.
But I don't know. I don't know, Jack. I don't know Jack shit. No, but that scene of him backing her up. You know, and she was, I mean, obviously she was the perfect olive oil, not even close, but she was so perfect for that role too. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
People say to me, I loved you in The Shining sometimes. I wasn't even born yet. I know I had a bowl haircut in the 80s, but that's yeah, they think I'm Danny Lloyd sometimes.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Well, it's not a handful, right?
Definitely. Well, on that
This
note,
was amazing. Thank you.
All right. So
that's all for today's episode on the Horror Hour. Thank you once again to Alex and Christine for joining us. It's been the best time ever. We're wishing you all the best with the new Chucky series and can't wait to see what the future holds.
thank you.
So,
That's what I was going to say.
Thank you.
That's what I was going to say to wrap it up. Guys, October 12th, Chucky's back with a fucking vengeance. This
Can't
show
wait.
is fantastic on so many levels. Not just saying that because I'm in it and I want it to be good. I'm saying that because I'm so tightly
He's right.
connected to this Chucky thing. And I know all you Chucky fans very, very well. And I know what you guys have wanted. Don knows what you guys have wanted. And
You're getting it in spades.
you're really getting it. And the things about this that are different and not what you expected, fucking go with it because
Take the ride.
take the ride with it, honestly, because this is going to be 8 episodes of very, very entertaining television.
Can't wait. I hope it's it. I want a second season already.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Well,
amazing.
yes.
It's gonna
So
be
do we.
amazing. Well, thank you everyone for
If we
listening.
live through it. If we
Yeah.
live through it. You
It's-
never know.
We can't. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Well, thank you everyone for listening. And obviously, of course, don't forget to tune in for the new Chucky series when it airs later this year. Next week, we're going to be talking about our favorite horror movies as well. So to lead into that. But yeah, everyone, thank you for listening. And of course, Alex and Christine, thank you so much. It's been amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you
guys.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have been listening to the Horror Hour, and you can also follow our YouTube channel, where we will be posting behind-the-scenes footage, video highlights, and full interviews.